The global pandemic of COVID-19 has caused an upheaval in the way we conduct our everyday life. We have barely recovered, and once again we are hit with another global disaster, the war between Ukraine and Russia. We have witnessed the prices of commodities skyrocketing as a result of the uncontrolled increase in the prices of oil products, making it difficult for the poor and minimum wage earners to stretch out their limited budget. Commuters would queue for hours to avail the Libreng Sakay program of the government, and farmers would dump their produce rather than sell them in the marketplace due to the high cost of transportation, food, and other necessities likewise have now become unaffordable to many. As the gap between the rich and the poor get wider and wider, this reminds us of our duty towards our neighbors. Whatever our social status, we are called to come to the aid of the needy and marginalized, because we are the visible face of Christ on earth. The division between the rich and the poor seem to be more evident than ever. It always seems that the rich will always become wealthier and the poor will always remain poor. The reason why cannot be pinpointed down to one exact thing. It may be due to economic and social inequality, or the Philippines having a weak agricultural sector, but also it may even be due to the mentality of the people as well as unequal distribution of opportunities. To start, we are going to discuss a certain amount of church teachings on human dignity and justice.
The church states that those who are oppressed by poverty are the object of a preferential love on the part of the church, which, since her origin and despite the failings of many of her members, has not ceased to work for the relief, defense, and liberation through numerous works of charity, which remain indispensable always and everywhere, based on the Catechism of the Catholic Church, number 2448. According to Pope Francis, the poor are abandoned by our society as well as are victims of rampant inequality and injustice, with poverty being imposed onto them. He states that to help advance and progress the world by breaking bread with the hungry, working for justice, lifting the poor, and restore their dignity. With this being said, he further stresses that those who are most wounded, oppressed, and even crushed are the poor, the weakest links in the chain, encouraging us to open our eyes and not to turn a blind eye towards suffering experienced by the most vulnerable in our society. According to the church doctrine, working for one's living is not anything to be ashamed of, nor is poverty in the eyes of God. This is further supported by what we observe in Christ, who, though he was rich, became poor for our sake, who, despite being the Son of God and God himself, chose to appear and be perceived as the son of a carpenter, nay, did not disdain to spend a significant portion of his life as a carpenter himself. Isn't this the carpenter Mary's son? From reflecting on this divine example, it is simple to see that a person's moral traits or virtue truly defines their excellence and dignity. Life is a matter of the common good. The demands of the common good are directly related to respect for and the integral promotion of the individual and his fundamental rights, and they rely on the social circumstances of each historical era. The provision of essential services to all, some of which are human rights, including food, housing, employment, education, access to culture, transportation, primary healthcare, freedom of communication and expression, and protection of religious freedom are amongst these demands. They also cater on a commitment to peace, organization of the state's founders, a solid legal system, environmental protection, and commitment to peace. Additionally, one must not overlook the contribution that every country is obliged to make to achieve genuine global cooperation for the benefit of all people on Earth and future generations.
According to Pope Benedict XVI, 2009, he states, "If we love others with charity, then first of all, we are just towards them." Meaning, justice is bound with charity, being inseparable and intrinsic to it. We are encouraged to live out charity in a manner wherein we strive to set justice and charity as a standard while desiring the common good of all. Based on these teachings, we can find guidance and have a solid foundation on how we can contribute and be of service in bridging the never-ending gap between the rich and poor. Now, applying these teachings in our field of expertise, tackling poverty through sports, we can give equal chances for others to have athletic scholarships. Many people were able to go from being poor to being financially stable due to sports. That is because sports allow them to shine in the different field. This can also be done to other people if they were given the chance to excel at sports. Excelling in sports at a young age would mean that they could get athletic scholarships, which would solve their financial problems. We, future sports science professionals, can help them there. For inequalities, it only exists primarily due to discrimination. Employees within sports organizations experience this. A dissertation by June 2021 showed the unfair distribution of salary between players due to different races. He found out that Asian superstars were receiving more money than South American superstars due to more preference for Asians. This inequality is also evident in sports companies wherein capitalism has been abused by owners of famous shoe brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma, etc. Giving the salary that each worker deserves can help in reducing these inequalities. And lastly, through sports, we can build peace, justice, and strong institutions. Men and women are at the center of the focus of the Olympic movement, encouraging links and mutual understanding between people. This value broadly refers to building a peaceful and better world through solidarity, team spirit, joy, and optimism in sports. The Olympic Games inspire humanity to overcome political, economic, gender, racial, or religious differences and forge friendships despite those differences. The athletes express this value by forming lifelong bonds with their teammates as well as their opponents.